And because I checked the preview box, I'm able to preview everything before it actually gets generated. And this would be the second step that I would have bypassed if I didn't check the preview box. So first of all, up at the top, we have our statements that shows all responsible parties getting a statement. And then the collection letters, all responsible parties getting a collection letter electronically via McKesson. And for each collection letter that's sent through McKesson, you're going to be charged a fee, and you want to check with AdvancedMD for those fees. And anything in this collection letter tab is going to also be recorded in the collection modules on the action tab. And if you haven't watched the collection training videos, you want to watch those so you'll know that this is part of the actions that the collector could take by generating it in here, a collection letter, through the patient billing wizard instead of doing it in the collection module, which you can, and drop it to paper there without having to pay the electronic McKesson fee. Where, again, for that fee, McKesson will receive your letter electronically and drop it to paper, stuff it and stamp it and mail it off for you. And then next, the collection agency. It'll list all responsible parties with an overdue account to be written off to the collection agency file, and it will create a downloadable file so you can send to that collection agency. And this downloadable file is editable in Microsoft Excel, so you can open it up, make a few changes, whatever you need to do, and then just send it over to your collection agency for them to work the account. And then finally, the write-offs. It's tied to your account types, where if you have any small balance write-offs, anybody who has less than a certain dollar amount will be pulled in here to be written off. And that's just an overall view of each of the tabs. Now let's take them one at a time. First is the statements, and we have 12 statements that will be going out. You have some options down below, and they will be available if you select one of the patients up above. And you can see that now the buttons are available. But before we get started down below, let's take a look at each column. There's your account type, typical account, and then the statements / collection letters. All the numbers on the left-hand side are how many statements we've sent out so far, and then on the right, collection letters. Now, this software has been an upgrade for the patient billing wizard, so if you've been in AdvancedMD for 3 or 4 years, this is a new release, so it's not going to capture all previous ones, just the ones from this time forward that we used through the patient billing wizard. So far, you can see I've sent out 1 to 2 statements and no collection letters. The numbers that are listed on the right-hand side is 0. My responsible party who will be getting the collection letter and their address, and I'm missing some addresses. Of course, in my dummy key, I have a lot to do to catch up, including entering in some addresses before I let these statements go, because they're not going to go anywhere anyways without an address. The last payment amount that they made, like for example for John Adams, $200, and the last payment date, he paid that on April 19th of 2007, or at least that's when we posted it. Any unapplied payments, if you haven't watched the payment entry training video, you want to watch that. It goes in detail about unapplied payments. Basically, it just means that you posted the payment to an account for, let's say, John Adams, but you didn't tie it to any specific data service or charge. So it would be unapplied, and the patient would still get a statement and be a little bit frustrated because they paid it, but you're still sending them a statement because you didn't apply it to any of their charges, and then the current balance that they owe. Now down at the bottom, some of the things you can do with your statements is you can put them on hold. For example, I can select John Adams or ABC testing and then hold any statements and collection letters from going out. Now what I mean by that is that if you go to the collection letters tab, down at the bottom you also have a hold button as well. You can select patients in the collection letters, or you can select them in the statements here and click the hold button in either screen, and it will hold all statements and collection letters from going out. So for example, I've got ABC testing selected, click the hold button. And I can hold this statement once, just this one time, so it doesn't go out, or indefinitely, or until, let's say, several days from now, May 4th. And then it's probably a good idea to have a hold reason. So if I look at the account later, I can know why we're not sending out statements. So I'm going to click on the ellipsis button. And if you don't have any hold reasons here that you like, you can always add new. Of course, type in your code, type in the description, whatever you'd like, and then be sure to save your work. When you close out, it'll be listed here for you to double click on. And then when you're finished and you're ready to go, you can go ahead and click Save. I'm not going to change the account type. Usually the default is good for me. If you need to change it, then go ahead and do that, but I'm going to click Save. And you notice it removes ABC testing from what I call my to-do list of statements that will be going out. So because it's not going out with the statement, it's now removed. In fact, if I want a little bit more detail on what just happened, or if you ask me, well, how do I find out if this account's on hold, you can go to the patient demographics by clicking on the blue dude here, and then come down in here and pull up your patient's last name. In this case, it was ABC testing, so I'll type in ABC and hit the tab key. And there he is. I'll double click on the testing. And I want to go down to the responsible party tab, and there it is. In this section here, it's going to be hold patient billing reflective of what I did in the patient billing wizard. And remember, I said until May 4th. So if I do any patient billing wizards before that date, ABC testing won't get a statement. If I do it after the date of May 4th, then he will get the statements. In fact, what I'm going to do here is an example. I'm going to say don't hold and click save and then close out. And then come back here. Now, he was removed, right? Well, I have a question. If I go ahead and I don't process this fully by clicking on the process button and downloading any statements that I wanted or having them sent electronically through McKesson, in other words, if I click back, what's going to happen to all those that were listed there? Well, they still ought to be there. In fact, because I removed ABC testing from that, because I put a hold, but then I went to the patient demographics and say, well, now you're not going to be held. If I go through the patient billing wizard again, and I can check my boxes here, and of course my billing message. If I go through this again and click next, excellent, everybody still pulls up. And in fact, we've got our ABC testing back, because if I make changes even in a few seconds, if I back out of this and decide to run it later, any updates that are going to happen are going to be reflective in here. So ABC testing is good to go again. So there's the hold button. Next is a message. If I want a specific message to go out on ABC's statements, I can click on the button here. And you can see a quick overview. We have Merry Christmas, which is going out on everybody's statement, and that's here. And then also you have the account type statement messages. And if you recall, when setting up your account types, and I'll click cancel, when you go master files to patient billing to account types, and I select my typical, now my typical account type is for all patients that have insurance. That's the account that they're tied to. Remember the statement messages. If it's 30 days, like they get the 30-day message. If it's 60 days to 90, they get a 60-day message. And of course these ones, you can click the ellipsis button. Gives you a little description here, but if you need more description or you need to change it, you can click cancel here and close out of here. And go to master files, down to patient billing, and then down to your statement messages. And here they are, your 120 account that's past due. And you can come up in here if you need to read more of the message, just click in here and use your arrow keys to go over and read more. Anyways, I'll close out and go back to my patient billing wizard. So that's the message by selecting one of the patients here and clicking the button. And then those are the default ones, the one for everybody Merry Christmas, and then the one that's tied to the specific account type, and even more specifically, depending on what their aging date is, if they're within the 30 bucket, the 60 bucket, or the 90 bucket. And of course you can come down here. There you go. And when I'm done, I'll be sure to save my work. So that last message, good luck on finals, after I save it, it's just going to be tied to the ABC testing this one time for that statement when it goes out. In fact, we can take a preview of the statement by making sure we have the responsible party selected, this line item, and clicking the preview button. And there we go. You can get a quick overview of the statement. And of course you can zoom in by clicking on the plus sign. And you can see there's the note, Merry Christmas, and then there's the statement message that goes out on all statements that I set up. And then here's my little note that says good luck on finals. So looks good. I can zoom out again and scroll down to view it. In any case, when I'm finished, I can either save it here if I'd like to, or print it, or just click close and then click process, and then it will be available to me to print them off if I chose to print my statements off, or it will go out electronically through McKesson. So you can pull them here as well if you want to do a preview and save statements to your desktop or print them off one at a time. But still keep in mind that when you process, it'll still go out. And in fact, what you might want to do is you can actually do a preview, print it off, and then put ABC testing on hold so it doesn't go out, and then you can have that mail it off to ABC testing with additional notes or scribble or attachments, whatever you need to do. So that's a good point for wanting to hold it, but previewing it and printing it off before you hold it. Next is the family history, and that brings up the responsible party if they're tied to anybody else that they're responsible for paying out on. For example, we can select John Adams and click on family history, or better yet, let's select Marge Simpson and click on family history. So up at the top we have the responsible party's name, Marge Simpson, and down below we have her husband Homer. Now if Marge was also a patient here and not just the responsible party for the account, she'd be listed here if she had any outstanding balances due. So far it's just Homer. If you haven't watched the payment entry training video, then you want to watch it because it goes into detail about the history either for the family or the patient's history here, and this screen and what everything means, including a $300 unapplied payment. In addition to this, if I go ahead and double click one of the charges or dates of services here, and you can see that here's the charge code of 1 and then the date of service of December 2nd. If I double click on it, The nice thing about this is in this section right here is the last statement that we sent, or if the account, when we were trying to send a statement, we put it on hold. And so you can see down here, type of statement that went out was a paper statement. And then the collection agency for $20, basically just keeping track of all the times that we billed the patient, either through the collection agency file, patient statement by paper, a collection letter, e-letter. Because remember, all collection letters, if you do it through the patient billing wizard, is going to go out electronically, and there's a feed tied to that AdvancedMD will bill you for. But if you do it through the collection module, you don't have to have them go out electronically. You can stuff them and stamp your own collection letters just as easily there. So we'll close out of here.